We're live? We're live.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Council and Committee for the Town of Petawawa to order for June 9th, 2025. Welcome members of staff, members of council, all of our guests in the studio audience, and our special guests who are with us this evening from Garrison Pedawa. We'll begin this meeting with the land acknowledgement, and this evening it's Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omawinini Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Omawinini people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for the many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. Calls to action number 57. We call upon federal, provincial, and territorial and municipal governments to provide education to public servants on the history of Aboriginal peoples, including the history and legacy of residential schools, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, treaties and Aboriginal rights, Indigenous law, and Aboriginal Crown relations. This will require skills-based training in intercultural competency, conflict resolution, human rights, and anti-racism. Recent progress. The Canada School of Public Service, the school, launched the Indigenous Learning Series in 2016, and the Indigenous Learning Business Line was created in 2019 with a mandate to implement the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action number 57.
Thank you, Councillor Carmody. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? I see none. So that brings us to the highlight of this evening's meeting. It's always great and an honor to have 4 CDSG Base Commander Colonel Guinea here with us. He's bringing an update to us and also brought a special guest with him as well, Colonel Sean Trenholm. But I'll let you introduce the Colonel and tell us why he's here. But the floor is yours. It's always great to hear from the garrison, and I understand you have a little update for us.
Thanks very much, Mayor Service, councillors, and residents of Petawawa. It's always an honor and a privilege to be here and participate in town council. And I think I said this at my last address here, but it's great to see democracy in action. It's exercised right here, and this is a privilege and a luxury that we have here in Canada that is not shared everywhere in the world. As we look at things that are happening near and abroad, we're lucky to have you as councillors and to have our citizens see it and exercise it. And I know often I've heard in these chambers too, there have been dissenting views. And I think it's good that you always welcome those dissenting views. It's because when we stop talking, when that dialogue shuts down, that's when bad things happen. That's when nasty things happen. So it's heartwarming to see, although it's not always easy to deal with dissenting views, but that's the hallmark of democracy, is that everyone has a voice and the right to choose. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet night, because this will be the last time I have the honor of addressing town council in the role as Commander Garrison Pedawa. But it's my pleasure to introduce Colonel Sean Trenholm as the incoming base commander. So next Tuesday, he'll officially take the reins. And I'm very happy to know that I'm handing over to a friend, an officer that I've known and have served overseas with a few times. We served together in Afghanistan, and then Sean handed over me to me in Kuwait a few years ago, and I have the privilege of handing back to him. Sean's no stranger to Petawawa. I think this is his 4th posting to Petawawa. and he has roots here with his wife is actually from the area. So Sean, this is the team that, not just the team, but the family that you'll have the privilege of working with over the next few years. I'd just like to pass on some words of gratitude to the town council and to the town of Petawawa itself. And I've kind of broken it up into two parts, is our achievements and the future and opportunities. My father asked me over the weekend, sorry, last week, he asked me, he said, hey, what are the things you're most proud about being commander, and what are your achievements? I said, well, Dad, to be honest, I've had no achievements of base commander. I've been a part of those achievements with the team, and a big part of that has been the town. And just a few of the highlights that were very meaningful to me personally and to our soldiers. One, I think of the Pride celebration as we enter Pride Month, and we're going to see that again, probably the best party in Petawawa that happening this Friday, and I've promised I will be there. And we extend the invitation to the town council to join the base in its 3rd annual Pride event this Friday. I think together we have really established what I would call joint messaging on issues that affect every Canadian, but equally affect our military members and their family. Those are things like access to medical care, showcasing what Petawawa has to offer in terms of opportunities, not just on the base, but here in town. Affordable housing has been one of the projects that we've worked closely on. Although we haven't closed that file up, it's something that we've started that dialogue, and it's got the attention of industry. It's got the attention of our Minister of National Defence and our Chief of Defence Staff. And of course, childcare, access to childcare, affordable childcare. And I'm very happy that we, the garrison and the town, we speak with one voice, and it's a very powerful voice. I wish I was here for Scott to get a little bit of a chuckle out of this, but we've revisited PILT, payment in lieu of tax arrangements, working on some long-term contentious issues. Although we haven't closed that file yet, we're moving it forward. Mostly though, just thanks for your support to our deployed operations. Just today, we said goodbye to another 300 soldiers who are on their way over to Latvia to deter Russian aggression in Eastern Europe. And we'll see another rotation of that happening after Christmas. And as I've mentioned before, this is the highest operational tempo the base has seen since the Afghanistan days. I'm also proud to announce too that if you haven't driven down Highway 17 in a while, we've started the Brinda Road access to help alleviate some of the traffic on here coming through getting onto the base in the mornings. But mostly, I think our crowning achievement was not only the coordinated emergency response, but most of all the compassion demonstrated during the tragic events of June 20th, 2023, when we had a Chinook crash here on the base. I was truly touched by how the town wrapped its arms around the garrison during those tough days. And I'll be forever in your debt for your assistance in that. But now, and I think it's fitting with Colonel Trenholm here, is to talk a little bit about the future and the opportunities. If you watched the news today, you'll know that our Prime Minister announced what I would say is the most significant commitment to national defense, certainly in my 30 years of the military. A firm commitment with a plan to get to 2% GDP by the end of this fiscal year. And I think it would be prudent to watch what further messaging comes out later at the G7 summit next week and at the NATO Leaders Summit later this month. I can't tell you what the details of all the commitments that were made because they haven't been released yet. But what I can tell you here are some hard figures that I have. A few weeks ago, I was downloaded an additional $11.8 million in baseline funding on top of the funding that I get already, and that's the new baseline. So that's money that we've been asking for years. We've already got that before this 2% was announced, plus an additional $970,000 for in-year spending. So in 2.5 years as base commander, I haven't seen those levels of funding, and I'm really excited about that. As a part of that package, 47 new civilian positions that we intend to fill by December. And I just got word of likely another 60 more. So that's over 100 new jobs on the base here for Petawawa. We're also expecting 450 new recruits, new Canadian Armed Forces members to be on the base this fiscal year, and likely another 200 per year after that. So what this means is it's great growth opportunities for like not just the military, but for, you know, and families, but for people to come into Petawawa. Great jobs, everything from HR specialists, skilled trades, project managers. Although I don't have any figures to share with you right now, infrastructure funding is a key component of that 2% target for GDP spending. And I know we will see money coming here on the base. So this is all this to be said is there's great opportunity here for the town of Petawawa. Some things where I think maybe the town of Petawawa should seize the opportunity is there's a defense industrial strategy. That's an investment in defense industry here in Canada. And I can't think of a better place to have defense industry, third line vehicle maintenance, build drone parts, whatever it is, IT support. There's lots of opportunity. And again, parked beside a Canadian Forces base would be, I think, a brilliant fit for the plan. Also, too, for our military members who are retiring and want to transition into the civilian workforce. Housing. We need to continue that message about affordable housing, look at innovative partnerships, public-private partnerships, investing in the town, the housing accelerator, those things. Highway 17, I think this is something that both the garrison and the town need to keep communicating. This is critical national infrastructure that connects millions and millions of dollars of trade between Eastern and Western Canada. Having a 4-lane highway would connect the NORAD facility in North Bay to Petawawa, which has 1/3 of the Canadian Armed Forces land combat power, to our national capital in Ottawa. Also in there is CNL, a world-class nuclear research facility. But most importantly is the safety and security of our soldiers, our family and friends who transit that route every day. I think we can still have the discussion about shared facilities, shared recreation facilities. I know we didn't quite get to where we wanted to, but that's okay. We didn't hit the moon and land on the moon on the first go either, but these are things that we should continue to explore. What opportunities can the base and town share together for the benefit of all of us? So I know we're not always successful in some of these endeavors. I know we didn't get quite as far as we wanted to get with the airport, but maybe this new funding is another opportunity. So Sean, there's lots of great opportunities here with partnership with the town, and you will find them to be a willing partner. And we're forever grateful for everything that the town has done for us over the past 100 years. And I'd like to express my personal thanks, Gary, to you with your leadership and that of your team. And with that, if I may, so I don't want to ambush anyone. So Gary does know this is coming, but I do have a small token of recognition that Mayor, if I may, present to the council.
Sure.
So I would have thought we would have had many of these before, but apparently you don't. I mean, I guess I get the privilege of presenting a base commander's commendation to the town of Petawawa. And so I'll read it here. The town of Petawawa is awarded the Commander 4th Canadian Division Support Group Commander's Commendation in recognition of its exceptional support to Garrison Pedawa. For over 100 years, the town has provided unwavering support to our soldiers, defense team members, veterans, and their families. Through your compassion, empathy, and collaboration, the town of Petawawa has been an enabler and champion in our success on operations at home and abroad. Thank you for standing with us through every challenge and achievement. Signed on the 9th of June, 2025. So, Mary, on behalf of the entire garrison, just to the council, but the whole town of Petawawa, please accept this.
Thank you very much.
It's just personal, your leadership and friendship and mentorship has meant a lot to me in the past.
Thank you very much. I think we. Someone will get mad at me if I don't speak.
Well, Colonel Guinea, I can't thank you enough. The last 2.5 years working with you has been an honor. I remember when you came here 2.5 years ago, I was fresh, you were fresh, and the two of us were figuring things out. And I know you've since mentioned to me that you kind of felt like a mayor of a town working up there in the Garrison. So what I can say is thank you for everything you've done in the past 2.5 years. You're the only base commander that I worked with, so I really have nothing to compare to. But I have to, the bar is pretty high. Yeah. But I have to say you opened up a new, I'll call it a system of collaboration and cooperation. You came here and you definitely had a mandate, and I guess I can call it a mission because you're in the military, but you had a clear mission and you were laser focused. Every decision you made and every action you did was to improve the working conditions and the life of all the members of the military up in Garrison Pedawa. And so I respect you greatly for that. And we here in the town of Petawawa, as hosts for all of the military here in Petawawa, we take our role as hosts very seriously too. And I know that all the decisions we make here in council, always in the back of our mind is that we're the hosts of one of the largest bases in Canada, and we have to make sure that we take care of the troops as well. And early on, you opened this new avenue or system of collaboration and cooperation. You included us in all of the ceremonies and goings on in the base, and we appreciated it so much to feel a part of everything that was going on up there. So we extended you the same invitations as well. We wanted you to feel more of a part of the town also. And that kind of culminated this May with our Lee Warden Parade, where we brought what was always a military garrison parade down into the town of Petawawa, and we celebrated together. Much like you mentioned with the Pride festivals, it was an honor to be a part of all of those, the first ever in Petawawa on a garrison, and it was always great to have you at our ceremonies as well. So we're looking forward to seeing you there on Friday also. You mentioned all of the things that we got done together with that spirit of collaboration and cooperation. What I really have to thank you for is your support. Every time that we went down to the province, whether it was asking for 4 lanes on the highway, doctor funding, childcare, whatever it was that we were after, you were always quick to have a letter of support from the garrison in a way that you can't imagine how much support that gave us and how much weight it added to our presentations when we were down there with the government. So thank you so much for that, because in the end, we're all trying to do the same thing. We want to make Petawawa better. We want to make Garrison Pedawa better. We want to make it a much better place for our citizens, your troops, to work and live in this community. We're going to miss you. I wish you all the success in the world at your next posting. I'm not sure if you've shared yet where you're going, but I'm sure no matter where it is and for how long it is, you'll do the same great job there that you did here. I'm hoping it's a little less, I'm not going to say stressful, but a little less fast paced. I'm hoping you're going somewhere where you can kind of slow down a bit and maybe watch your couple of movies with your favorite actor, Macaulay Culkin. So best of luck in your new posting. And I hope that we'll see you back here someday, maybe as General Guinea and maybe as head of the division or something like that. But it'd be great to have you back in Petawawa. And to Colonel Sean Trenholm, welcome back to Petawawa. As Colonel Guinea said, we're looking forward to working with you. I understand from speaking to you before that you'll be here around the end of July. So the lines of communication are always open. Call us anytime. We're here to help and support in any way we can. Anytime you have something going on and you'd like to have us up there, it'd be a tremendous honor to come up and participate in all that's going on up there. And we'll be sure to invite you to everything that's going on in the town. And as Colonel Guinea said, as we look forward to the future, there's some exciting things coming down the pipe in terms of funding and additional troops and additional equipment. So it looks like we have a lot to look forward to. And all of that's exciting, and I hope we can continue with our spirit of collaboration and cooperation and do what we can to make this area a better place to live. Colonel Guinea, as I said before, we are going to miss you. It's been an honor to work with you these last 2 years, and best of luck in your new posting. I know it's only for a year, and make sure you keep in touch. Congratulations. Thanks for everything. Do we have a second? Really nice meeting. Yeah. Hope to see you in July. Would you like to stay for
You're
insurance?
gonna talk taxes now?
Insurance, good.
I've got insurance, so thanks. Thanks very much, everyone. Hope to see you Friday at the Pride event, and next week at our change of commands, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
See you.
Okay. Are you ready? I do have a plaque for Colonel Guinea, but it's being presented on the 17th at his change of command ceremony. If you're wondering why I didn't give him anything. Okay. Next up, we're going to move on to our 2025 Municipal Insurance Program Renewal Report. We have Chris Bevan from the Kennedy Insurance Brokers Incorporated, all the way from North Bay. Chris, the microphone and the presentation is yours. Welcome to Petawawa, and thanks for coming to give us what could be I know it's the first ever insurance briefing in my tenure as a councillor. So it's great to have you here to get a little more in-depth look, let's say, at what we have going on in terms of our insurance.
Well, I appreciate the acceptance of council to listen to our presentation. It's a tough act to follow, but living in a community with CFB North Bay, I do understand the partnership between the military and the town. And we had our Armed Forces Day last week, where all the school children were able to see different various aircraft and have military displays. It's a very integral part of your community, so I do understand where you're coming from. And it's wonderful that you have this shared relationship with the garrison. That's excellent. So, insurance. So my presentation today is sort of a 30,000-foot view on the services that you're receiving, just how I became involved in the program and who am I. So my name is Chris Bevan. I'm a partner at Kennedy Insurance in North Bay, Ontario. We've been a brokerage in Northern Ontario since 1912, and I work with Intact Public Entities quite closely on municipal accounts across Northern Ontario and around the area. So we've developed quite a partnership of risk management that we provide to our municipalities that we take care of. We do understand that Petawawa has been with Intact Public Entities for quite some time. They truly value a relationship, and I was introduced into the account in December to provide an increased level of risk management engagement with staff. So we're just going to go through sort of the general overall program itself, talk about the renewal that's coming up on June 30th, and invite any questions that you may have. So Intact Public Entities, formerly the Frank Cowan Company, they are a managing general agent. They're not a broker. So what Intact Public Entities is effectively a group of individuals that is composed of risk managers, claims examiners, underwriters, and outsourcing sort of regional directors that we work with closely to ask questions and communicate concerns from your staff so that we engage in a communicative and informative risk management cycle to make sure that no risks are left unchecked and that there's an open exposure to the municipality. So that's kind of who we work with. They've been a leader in this for almost close to 100 years. It's the 100-year mark about the Garrison. North Bay celebrated its 100 years. They've been around for 100 years. Everybody's here 100 years. You know? So there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of people that have done their career work with IPE and are very focused and experienced in taking care of all the facets of your risk. So going forward to sort of the value-added services that are part of your program that we are in charge of communicating with your staff is that we are doing assessments and we have engaged these services since my introduction to Petawawa in January. So the first would be asset valuation and risk inspections. We were requested by staff to have IPE bring out risk inspectors to take care of certain critical assets and do replacement cost evaluations, but also a risk evaluation. That was completed, and we've since provided the report. Your staff has been very responsive, and I must compliment them on their ability to close up any risks that have been identified. But it's part of a service that is included into your program and is a value added with no extra cost. So that service was definitely engaged, as it was dormant for quite some time before that. So we were proud to have that happen for the town of Petawawa. There are some additional risk management ideas that we're going to be bringing to staff over the next term. Pretty much we're going to focus, I believe, on fleet management evaluation and minimum maintenance standards for roadways. Anytime that you have a roadway that the public travels on, that is one of your greatest exposures as a municipality, because vehicles are effectively flying missiles and people are in charge of them. So there's a lot of risk that occurs, and effectively we want to have hands-on and a view of where you can improve over time and gradually to come to a better risk understanding and provide you that service. Also, your fleet management evaluation, you do have a fleet that you're hiring drivers, you're providing services, you have vehicle maintenance, you have GPS tracking of snow and removing of hazards. So just kind of getting into these types of reports. This is a value-added service that we're going to be proposing that the town engage in the 2025 or 2026 term. So we're just bringing that to your attention that that's available. Most of my work with the town of Petawawa since becoming involved has been in the contractual review and policy and procedural reviews. So my primary service under this risk management is to communicate and receive draft tenders, internal policies, and different documents and risk ideas that the town has questions on, communicated to the risk division at IPE, receive the comments, and then work proactively with staff to engage, to have wordings updated, or different insurance coverages or amendments to indemnity and hold harmless agreements and different contractual risks that you encounter. So we've been heavily engaged in this, and we've done dozens and dozens, and I do have to compliment the staff. They've been very responsive and have engaged with me and not shied away from the additional verbiage that comes, because insurance wording can be dry, but they do work tirelessly to improve the risk function of the town. And for that, I have to say thank you to them. So that's sort of an overview of the services that we do on the back end. Also, the other part about IPE is the fact that they, as an MGA, do not hire a third-party service to manage your claims. I'm not sure if you're aware of this fact, but what ends up occurring is they have internal examiners and adjusters, and they work with your assigned independent adjuster that could be local as well. So anytime that there's a statement of claim, or if there's an injury and then the municipal staff are notified, or there could be a potential claim, they're contacting us, and we're having active communications with IPE and your adjuster locally, if that's been assigned, to effectively communicate the risk, assign legal counsel, talk about coverages. And they, as an MGA, they're not a broker. They are invested in your interest because they are the ones providing you the insurance program as well. So it's been a very valuable service to the town. And we will continue to communicate with IPE to make sure that that communication to staff also is very strong, and just organize claims, because with the municipality, they are going to come. It's just a matter of how you mitigate them and deal with them when they're received. So the renewal comments on the 2025 renewal, effectively, we came into this as the broker of record in January. We've understood the risks that have been proposed to us. And through the past 90 days, we've been negotiating with inside public entities and the insurers that are part of the insuring program to mitigate the premium and to give the best options to Petawawa. I'm really happy with what has come back. In my world, in municipal world, you may have noticed through COVID, it was a hard market where insurers were not accepting risk, and they were increasing pricing because it was a very uncertain time. Since that has kind of loosened and we've moved into a soft market, what's going on is we can compare a rate renewal versus a value renewal. So looking at the end, The overall premium increase of 3.8%, which has the value beside it, 60%, 61% of that is actually additional property value that you've included into your total insured value limit. And that has been done through automatic inflation application that happens every year, but also the results of the risk inspections that were requested on critical infrastructure. So you are receiving an increased cost, but over half of that is actually additional insurance coverage that can protect you under a blanket limit if you have a loss that is at any of your municipal properties. So it's a very positive response. But when you break it down, the casualty policy, which is a huge exposure for you because the municipality can never really back away from the joint and several liability of it all. There's only been a 2% increase on that liability line. From there, errors and omissions. There have been some impacts on that policy, but they've mitigated any sort of increase in premium that is still within a tolerable amount. Your property coverage premium increased by 5.8%, but again, of that, there was an additional amount of insurance coverage that was provided to you. I always like to break down the actual cost of the insurance policy versus the coverage you're receiving. And your total insured value of 197 million, the premium represents not even close to 1% of your entire insured value. You're at 0.00099% of the total insured value, which is great. So we're in a nice little area with the actual cost versus benefit value. Your automobile fleet premiums are made consistent. There is no change to that. And in my experience, that is a very rare and excellent thing to receive. So that was another positive that occurred this year. We did some review on the coverages that were included also in the policy. So we made the amendment to the accidental death and dismemberment policy to present council with a board member's accident policy. And then we talked to staff about the integration of the benefits package that's already there for the rest of the staff. So we corrected that, saved some premium, even though it's minimal. It's something that we're just showing that we're doing the work to make sure that the premium is in check. So our promise to you is that we'll continue to engage as long as we are your broker of record. We're going to work tirelessly to talk about your risk and make sure that we're on top of staff and responding to their requests in the most timely manner possible. I do have to comment that staff has been excellent to work with. It's a pleasure. And that's not just me saying it because they're in the room, but that's for real. So on my report, because this is a public report, I always like to educate people at a 30,000 foot view, like I said, to just kind of explain what exactly the coverages are within the program. It's quite in depth and large. So this description of coverage for the next pages, I believe it's about 15 pages, kind of gives you an idea, high view of what each policy coverage does. And effectively, if you have any questions or if council has any questions on what the policy should be doing, or if you have any areas of where you want to focus, it at least gives you an idea to understand what is involved in the program. So I do know that we are going to talk further later tonight, so I'll just leave you with that. And it's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, I can definitely take them right now.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris. It's great to hear about this. It's great to hear we're doing well as a corporation in terms of our coverage and the minimal increases we're facing, which is great. We know that we have put up a couple of new buildings, so we understand and realize that our coverage is going to have to go up to cover the new buildings. But it's great to hear, and thanks to the staff for working with Chris. I'll open it up for questions from council. Councillor Carmody.
Thanks very much for the presentation. Most interesting. Question about, you mentioned joint and severable liability, which is a big one for municipalities. But a couple of years ago, I thought there was some movement afoot anyway to change that in some way at the provincial level. I think I remember it being discussed. Because, municipalities are in a situation where we could be 2% responsible for what happened and 95% responsible for, payment to rectify the injury or whatever. So is there anything happening in that regard? Is joint and severable liability changing at all?
Well, generally under a common law system, the judgments that are given out by the courts of Ontario kind of impact the insurance rulings and how everything works. The joint and several liability, for example, like under a change, the statute of limitations was 2 years for a slip and fall on a property. You could have a slip and fall on a property, not know that it even occurred if you didn't have a closed camera like surveillance system. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, you have a statement of claim that says, I'm injured. You need to reconcile my injury through indemnity and financial means. So the legislation was brought in that it had to be notified to a landlord within 60 days that the injury occurred and it was substantial enough to bring and challenge in court. So there are things that are changing, and that's probably one of the most recent changes. But when it comes to municipalities, a lot of the joint and several liability revolves around the judgments around auto injuries. I take effectively negligence is the duty of care to keep a person safe, to a reasonable duty of care, right? And when that's breached, that's when there's liability associated and finances paid out. So when you look at a risk and a payment, I make it a mathematical equation where A equals B. B is the injured party and the money that they're looking for compensatory damage, and A is everybody that had a percentage to bring us to B. In a municipal space, generally there is always a continuing joint and several liability, especially for maintenance of roads. In a winter climate, ice can be there, and it could be as simple as a line that wasn't touched up and not noticeable at a stop sign. Could bring an initial judgment against the municipality, and then through appellate court, and then learning of the different levels of liability of the other automobiles involved in the accident, per se. The appellate court may actually assign more liability to the municipalities. So it's one of those things where the common law definitely has precedent, but there is definite pushback through AMO and different organizations to talk to the government and the legal system to say, like, hey, we can't be the buck that pays out no matter what. So working with IPE is very involved in education and seminars on these topics to try and educate every municipality that is in existence in Ontario, but especially the clients, on how to mitigate that risk and try and take away the joint and several. And so that's why we're offering the fleet and minimum maintenance standards training, so that it can be observed also by your staff that joint and several liability is present. So they're working in the back of your mind trying to mitigate that risk at all times.
Thanks for that answer. Any further questions or comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Chris. And as you said, we're going to meet you again a little later on in the meeting.
Thank you very much. Well, appreciate council.
Discuss a few things further.
Definitely.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move on to finance. We have FIN-15-2025, the May 2025 expenditure report. Paula.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I have my recommendation before you to approve of the check numbers 5,336 to 5,554 inclusive, totaling $1,256,615.72. The top vendors paid were 171 vendors. Top dollar amount of the checks issued again was 1.2 million. The average dollar per check was $5,737. Average dollar per invoice was $2,122, and the number of vendors paid over 100,000 was 3. That being said, the top 3 were Ontario Clean Water Agency for our monthly service contract for the water and sewer, the Minister of Finance for the policing, as well as it included our court security grant. Way general contracting with a holdback for the comfort station, as well as the Public Works Garage Edition, the payment progress payment number 9, and the town flagpole installation. Do I have any questions?
Any questions on the monthly financial report? Solid report as always, no questions.
Thank you very much.
So I need a motion to accept the report. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Donovan, the check numbers 5336 to 5554, totaling $1,256,615.72 be approved by council. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Planning and Development Monthly Activity Report. Melanie. Another busy, busy month in the town of Petawawa.
Yes, good evening. Couple things that I'll highlight from the monthly report. Actually, this is the last 2 months for planning and development because I wasn't here last month. So a couple meetings that we had in April, building official and I met with Ministry of Municipal Affairs to determine municipal responsibilities for radon as questions were coming from residents, builders, contractors about our responsibilities. So we had a good meeting with Ministry of Municipal Affairs about that. And basically our responsibility is to enforce the building code, full stop. So it was good to get that clarity. Continue to meet monthly with Habitat for Humanity, working on a draft memorandum of understanding to bring to council shortly. Senior planner attended a conference about committees of adjustment, which was very timely because our committee hasn't met much over the last few years, but we know we have several applications forthcoming. So we're going to be reinvigorating that committee with some learnings shared from that conference. Make sure we're up to date with all the legislative changes in the planning world. There's some training videos, so that was helpful to get that committee reinvigorated. Working with the Economic Development Department, we've refreshed the temporary outdoor patio program for the summer. So that's where there's not a formal patio, but people have an area where they want to put tables and chairs. So that program is ready. We'll be bringing you Clean Yards and Property Standards bylaw in the next few weeks. Clean Yards is ready. We're just getting the property standards finished up. And next Monday, we will have a draft bylaw about backyard chickens to discuss with you. So a couple highlights there. In active planning applications, I'll just bring one to your attention. So Radke Estates Phase 2-1 is in its final stages of registration with lawyers and the registry office. The county has approved the plan. It's just going through all those last legal steps. So it's very positive there to see that subdivision close to final registration and get those lots selling and get the houses going there. And then finally, Appendix B is building permits for April and May. So you can see that continue to issue a fair number of permits. May saw a lot more residential permits than last May, 10 versus 4 last year. Offset last year, we had more commercial and multiple residential permits. So each year it's a little bit different, but once the Radke subdivision is final approved, we're expecting a lot more residential permits. And of course, we have a couple new builds going in the industrial park this year too. So some more permits expected there. And happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the report? Deputy Mayor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Melanie. Melanie, just in your May report, under permit notes, it multi-res adding unit to existing apartment building. I'm just not familiar with where that is. Can you share that with us?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact location, but it was an existing building where they had an opportunity to add one more unit.
Okay, so it's just a unit in the town, so not going to solve our affordable housing crisis.
No,
okay.
It was an existing apartment building that they could add one more unit to.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Melanie, I just wanted to say thank you for your work and thank you especially for always updating the active planning applications chart. I can't even tell you how many questions I have get answered by that chart. So thank you sincerely for everything you do.
Further questions? Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thanks for bringing the chicken bylaw on the 16th. I really appreciate it. I know we're very far ahead of schedule of the original plan, so I appreciate us getting on that, and hopefully it's going to go over well. Thanks.
Further questions or comments? Yeah, it's nice to see how much is moving through the department. It's there's an incredible amount coming through there, especially with all the updates of the various bylaws. So it's great that you have the staff and you can, we'll call it clean up some legacy issues. Great to see. And it's great to see all the building permits for sure, and the values and the permit fees. The town is really growing at an astronomical rate. And you're right, it'll be nice to see Radke get going because as you heard from Colonel Guinea, there may be some more people moving into town. They'll need somewhere to live. So let's get those foundations in the ground. Okay, are there any other questions? I need a motion to accept the report then. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that the Planning and Development Monthly Report be accepted as information. I guess I'm doing both at once. Okay. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Melanie. Next, we have the Economic Development Monthly Report. Christine.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. The report for the month of May. Just highlighting a new commercial business application for Petawawa Nails and Spas, which is going into 3025 Petawawa Boulevard. Support for that particular project is ongoing. They currently have a building permit out for construction on the particular piece of property. A total of 6 inquiries and 2 registrations for home businesses. Ongoing work with CIP. In general, site meeting with the Ottawa Valley Coffee Petawawa in conjunction with the planning department to respond to queries from the property owners and provide necessary supports. We had 4 grand openings in the month of May. We supported the Flightline Dart Simulation Business grand opening, Eva's Cafe, the rebrand launch of the portal, and then later at the end of the month, Great Ape Empire. Also had the opportunity to have a site visit with Sam and Cleo of Neuro Unique World. Ongoing engagements, supporting the website, the program, the new website for the town of Petawawa with Calumet Media, working with Colin and Kate on that. Our ongoing TV collaboration for the In Business series with Your TV. Segments were filmed with Airborne Petawawa and Great Ape Empire. Airborne Petawawa segment was launched on Monday. Had the opportunity to participate as a career coach at both Valor and Bishop Smith and provide grade 9 and grade 10 students the opportunity to learn about municipal work and specifically work within the Economic Development Department, part of a greater program to encourage young people to think about their career opportunities early on. I also, again, had the opportunity to work with Enterprise Renfrew County and review the 15 applications for the summer student program, for which we do a judging process and an evaluation process, as there's only 7 spots for students. With regards to the BRNE, we have completed the interviews. The data analysis is complete. The report is almost ready, and we are going to be hosting the results of that exercise on June the 26th between the hours of 8:30 and 10:30 as part of a networking event, which we will be hosting at Dog House Brewery Company. Council will receive invitations to attend, to participate in that as well, and the businesses have been circulated opportunities to join us. We did hire a community ambassador, a joint position with Recreation, Culture and Tourism. That particular individual has started doing some work with us at the container market. Ongoing engagements with Syntax for branding and wayfinding, and we have finalized the Petawawa letter sign design, and we will now be going out for RFQ for the fabrication of the letters. And that's all I have in terms of review for my monthly meetings. I do want to note, however, that Rudy did attend his first economic development certification training in Waterloo. So he was gone there between May the 4th and 9th. So he's in year 1 of a 3-year certification program.
Okay, thanks. Questions on the report? What is Neuro Unique World?
So it's a business offering within the town of Petawawa, Sam and Chloe. It's owned by Sam, supporting children, students, and families with neurodivergent needs. They provide playtime, respite care, before and after school care, summer programming care. It's targeted specifically for students with neurodivergent needs. And again, one of the particular programs that they do offer is this respite care. So day services where children can come. They offer tutoring opportunities. So if your child is in need for some special one-on-one time, it is a business. Sam herself has some neurodivergent challenges, and so she's very passionate about this support. They were in a home base, and they did graduate to a commercial location here in the town of Petawawa.
Sounds interesting. I wish them all the best. Any further questions or comments? Okay. I need a motion to accept the report. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Poutou, that the Economic Development Monthly Reports be accepted as information. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have ED-12-2025 Community Improvement Plan, the portal, 3227 Petawawa Boulevard. Christine?
So this is really just a slight amendment to the request that was made of council and supported by council at my last meeting on this particular matter. Council had approved signage for the portal up to a threshold amount. The challenge was when the property owner painted the building, unfortunately, she was not happy with the color of the paint. And so to correct that, she had to go to a darker foundation. The darker foundation meant that she couldn't apply the sign medium that she had originally requested for. And so therefore she had to go back out and get quotations for new signs. So the new sign is going to cost more. And so the request is, because the signage is still under the maximum threshold of the $5,000, is council amenable to providing her the additional funding up to the 50% requirement under the $5,000 threshold, so that there's an equitable cost. It's as simple as that.
Questions on the report? Everybody's good with that one? Okay, if you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabern, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that council, under the Community Improvement Plan adopted by Bylaw 1441/21, enter into the amended funding agreement with Portia Strang, owner of the commercial business The Portal, located at 3227 Petawawa Boulevard, permitting CIP financial incentive up to $5,000 under the signage grant. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
And give our congratulations to Rudy. Okay, next we have the Public Works Monthly Activity Report. Chris, how's the spring going?
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor Service. Evening, members of council. All right, let's buzz through the monthly report. So under Civic Properties Capital Works Program update, our Public Works office expansion is just about complete. So we reached substantial completion on May 12th. Our building permit was closed and occupancy was granted, and office staff moved in on May 26th and 27th. We've had some gardening completed along the front of the office building by our town contractor, Precision Lawn and Garden. That was completed on May 30th. The ACO trailers are gone from the yard, June 4th. That was a great day. And as you see there, outstanding items are parking lot, line painting, and eaves trough installation. The eaves troughs were completed today. So we're really doing well. I plan to bring a financial update back to council very soon. I'm just checking off all the change orders and going through all the numbers. I'm confident we're still on budget, but I will come back just to brief council on the final results. Okay, under town hall office renovation, we were supposed to start today. Unfortunately, we had a couple of I's to dot and T's to cross on some approvals, mainly paperwork items, so we postponed by 1 week. So it'll be the 16th for a start date. Under Civic Center parking lot improvements, Phase 1A, there's a report to follow, so we'll just hold off on that item. Under building condition assessment, the assessment started today. Actually, I saw Ted Marcotte here with our representative from Roth IAMS doing the conditional assessment here at Town Hall. Under water and sewer projects, the sanitary sewer upgrade through Pinehurst Estates, that tender closes tomorrow. Under water tower rehabilitation on Water Tower Road, we have that tender closing on July 8th. Grip tank number 2, rehabilitation and grading repairs, that tender closes on June 17th. Under disinfection byproducts reduction study, our kickoff meeting is scheduled for June 17th with Aqua representatives and representatives from Stantec Engineering. But I can report that we've already had a preliminary meeting where Stantec has requested several documents and data to help with the start of this process. So that data is being moved from Aqua and from the town also over to Stantec. So the process is already underway, which is great. Under road reconstruction projects, Murphy Road. So we are just about complete there. June 13th is the completion date for that project. All that's remaining is 3 manholes to regrade, and that's being completed this week. So that'll wrap up all the deficiencies from last year and any of the outstanding construction items. And yeah, I can also report back on that from a financial standpoint, but we're on budget. The Norman Street in and out for access to the Comfort Station and Algonquin Trail parking. Currently, we have Bell infrastructure relocation underway. That was required to allow for the new road access. And I was speaking with our Director of Planning and Development, Melanie, today. We are making headway on the private property encroachment issue that we have. So I'm hoping to have that wrapped up shortly, and then we can get that project to tender as soon as possible. Under Black Bay Road and Eichstead Road upgrades, we're moving forward that project. There'll be further information coming to council very soon, but we did have a meeting on June 5th with representatives from BEI. I also brought JP2G on board. Basically what we were looking for was a third party to look at the proposed construction that we're planning, and to have an engineer look at what we're planning to do with the road, how we're reconstructing it, and if those elements suit. Having that third party endorsement, I think, is important. It's good for both BEI and for the staff of the Public Works Department to have someone else look at what exactly are we planning here? Does it fit? Is it going to hold up? Is it going to stand the test of time? Is the road construction a proper rehabilitation at this time? So I'll be reporting back to council soon with that, but it looks like we're coming together with a really good project here, with, in my opinion, a fantastic investment of town taxpayer dollars, and getting over 3 kilometers of roadway upgraded for a very good price. So I'll report back on that, but it's exciting. PXO installations on Herman Street at Kittyland Park parking lot and on Herman Street at Doran. So what we were waiting for here was a traffic study that the county was conducting at the intersection of Doran Road and Herman Street. Town staff requested the county complete the traffic study to see if a 4-way stop was warranted at that intersection. The traffic study came back that the 4-way stop is not warranted. So we are proceeding with the option of the PXO install. So I'll be returning to council on, I'm hoping on the 16th. Basically a quick report looking for town council endorsement. Then it goes back to the county for the PXO approval on their end. And we've already started design work on both PXOs. So that project will move forward as well. Under operations, just general spring work being done. I believe our sidewalk sweeping is all complete, and our contracted road sweeping started last Tuesday. Nothing too major to report there other than 198 locates were completed in May, so we're really ramping up now with requests for locates in town. Lots of work being coming online. Under procurement, I think it covered all the important items there. in the capital works update. Under civic properties, spring maintenance of sports fields, opening facilities for summertime use, playground inspections. The boat launch at the point has been installed. I can update that. Other than that, nothing too major there. And then under water and sanitary, both reports, nothing really flagged me except for work orders. But I have an answer this time for that. So I did contact Brad and we had another chat about work orders, and he did answer me. He said, I can quote, "We're undertaking a revamp of our work order system for Petawawa so that the numbers will be more accurate." So essentially, he's saying last year that everything at the end of the year washed out, that they were 95% on their work orders, but I am following up on that item on work orders, so I'm watching it, right? Happy to take any questions.
Questions on the report? Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chris, just one question. The new air conditioning unit at the Civic Center, is that now completed?
I'm under the assumption that it's underway. I don't know if it's been completed, Murray, but or Councillor Roots, I apologize. I will find out and email you back on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Driscoll.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, just one quick one. When are we looking at the bike park being fully open? I've had a couple people ask.
For that, I'll have to also follow up, Councillor Driscoll. I know that we've received the lumber that we've been waiting for, but I'm not sure the timeline or the scope of just how long it was going to take to install those. So I'll follow up with Mr. Marcotte and get back to you on that. Yep.
Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'll start with thank you for following up on those work orders. You know, I just really focus on that. I'm going to have to do a drive-by to see that those ACO trailers are gone too, because I'm very excited for you, just letting you know. Thank you for getting the boat launch in. Lots of use over the last number of days for that. You might have already given us this date, but any idea when Doran Road Shave and Pave is going to be starting? I've had a number of questions on that. And then I have one more observation.
Okay, I'm not sure on the Doran Road. I did see the last county council update that showed their construction plans for the next month, I believe, and that wasn't on the list, if I recall. But I will follow up with Taylor and Lee at the county and get back to you on that.
Thank you for that. And Chris, I'm not sure if this has come across your desk, but apparently the federal standards for school zones, I don't know if anybody else has seen that, are going to be changing. It's going to become a federal responsibility and go down to 30 kilometers an hour. I don't know if you've got any essay on that, like situational awareness, but anyways, it just came across my my screen in the last day or two, so I'll follow up with that and maybe forward some stuff to you. Thank you very much.
Further questions on the report? Just a question about the Doran Road, Herman Street intersection. I'm guessing since they've done a traffic study, they've looked into the fact that that PXO is at the bottom of the hill and it meets standards and it's okay in a location like that?
Yes, correct. So we have at the top of the hill, there is a flashing light in place. There may be some signage adjustments to that flashing light to coincide with the design of the PXO. But we'd most likely be looking at a level 2 PXO similar to what was installed on Victoria at Wolf with the overhead flashers. So there will most likely be some additional lighting infrastructure installed for even better visibility than just the side flashers that are located on each side of the roadway where the push button actuators are. We're looking at flashers also above the roadway for additional warning for drivers approaching that crossing.
Any further questions or comments? Looks like you and your crew are going to have a busy summer and into the fall. Lots going on our roads. It's good to see them, good, because it's all improvements. Okay, if there's nothing further, I need a motion to accept the report. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the Public Works monthly report be accepted as information. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, next we have PW-17-2025 award of tender, PW-11-2025 Civic Center parking lot upgrades, Phase 1. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor Service. All right, tender PW 11-2025 was prepared and advertised in the local paper, on our website and social media pages. 15 general contractors picked up tender documents and 7 were received on the closing date of June 3rd, 2025 at 10 a.m. And the respective bids are summarized in your chart in your report. June 3rd was a busy day. We also learned that 2 grant funding applications were unsuccessful. These funding applications carried reserve funding commitments of $132,162 for the first application, and for the second application, $425,399. So staff studied the tender close for the Civic Center parking lot. And because of the costing we received, and also learning about the unfortunate, it was unfortunate that we didn't succeed in those grant applications, but staff were able to pivot quickly and look at reopening another opportunity. So as part of our 2025 budget deliberations, we had done some preliminary estimates for a pickleball facility that we were looking at including in this parking lot project for the rear of the Civic Center. However, at the time during the deliberations, it was the budget deliberations, it was left out due to budget constraints. So the report before council members this evening, again, came together quickly, and staff feel we have a comprehensive project that addresses all the aspects that drove the planning for this infrastructure upgrade. The rear parking area of the Civic Center is gravel, and this brings many challenges for staff operating a public facility. Challenges include poor drainage, which essentially is a year-round challenge, increased maintenance costs for grading in the spring and fall, and icy conditions in winter for staff utilizing outside garage storage spaces. This project will address drainage issues with the installation of a storm system. There will be a storm capture system, which is an oil grit separator, and an infiltration gallery. The storm capture system and infiltration gallery will be installed under soccer field 3. And I'd like to bring your attention to the diagram that was provided tonight. It shows on the right of the diagram where the storm scepter infiltration system will be. The Civic Center parking lot project will also include additional parking at the rear of the Civic Center, full pavement, concrete curbing, concrete walkways for improved accessibility to the rear entrances of the complex. Street lighting upgrades will greatly enhance the safety for staff and visitors to the complex. We have also added electrical upgrades for future charging stations for electric vehicles. With the proposed addition of a pickleball facility to be included in this project, we now have a comprehensive project that includes the drainage improvements, parking improvements, paving and concrete walkways for better accessibility, lighting improvements, and a new recreational facility that will benefit users of the Civic Center and enhance the facility as a community hub. So under financial implication, the estimated construction budget for this project was $650,000, and that was included in our 2025 budget. The bid from JWK Contracting of $601,815.35 was the lowest responsive bid that we had. And if we had gone ahead with the project as it stood, which was just the parking lot itself, we would have been coming to council looking for some extra monies to cover those costs. We would have been looking for $700,000. What we've done though is we've worked in the costs for the pickleball facility. The construction cost estimate for the pickleball facility is $115,000. The engineering costs for design, tendering, and contract administration for this project are $82,000. And staff are requesting a contingency allowance of $50,000 for the entire project, which includes the pickleball facility. The total project cost of $848,815.35, excluding HST, will be funded through the approved budget of $650,000, plus a reallocation of $198,815.35 from the Civic Center Parks reserves. The Finance Department has reviewed this request for reserve funds and can support the request due to the 2 unsuccessful grant funding applications. So under recommendation, staff are looking for council support to approve the award of tender PW 11 2025, the Civic Center Parking Lot Upgrades Phase 1, to the lowest bidder being JWK Contracting in the amount of $601,815.35 plus HST. And then the additional items, the pickleball court, the extra monies for design, engineering support, and contract administration, $82,000, and the contingency allowance of $50,000 for a total project cost of $848,815.35. And I know there was quite a bit of information in there, so I'm happy to take questions if some of those items were a little bit confusing.
Thanks for the in-depth report. So just a quick one for clarity. Because we were unsuccessful with the track and the ball lighting grant applications, we had budgeted for, I'm going to say like $538,000 to come out of reserves between those 2 projects.
It was actually $557,561.
Okay. And instead of, well, because we were unsuccessful with those, what you're suggesting here is we reallocate some of that reserve funding and put it towards a grander plan for the parking lot Phase 1, which would include the pickleball.
Correct. We would have been looking for a smaller amount of a reallocation of reserve to make up the little bit of a funding shortfall we have just to complete the project as it stood. It was tendered as 2 items. It was tendered as certain elements of the tender were fixed and some were provisional. So because of the bid that we received from JWK at $601,000, we were able to say, okay, we're in good shape to go ahead and get done all of Phase 1, which is the curbing, the paving, the storm, and then with the reallocation of the reserve funds, we thought it was a great opportunity to bring this report to council, where not only are we improving the parking lot and all those aspects, but we're also bringing in a new recreational facility as part of the project, which seemed to be a really good fit.
I like the fact that we don't have to do it in 2 phases. It'd be nice to get everything done at once, for sure. Okay, I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple here, Chris. It looks really good, and I appreciate getting this all done. So with the drainage area, is that sufficient if we go ahead with the larger part of the parking lot to funnel everything into that, or would there have to be a secondary drainage area?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Driscoll. So this project has been designed as a phased project, so there will not be any more requirements for storm. When we do get around to the main parking area of the Civic Center, and we look to storm that, it will be joined into the system that's been installed in the back, including the infiltration gallery, and that's been designed and sized to encompass the whole parking area.
Perfect, thank you. And then just a second, after some discussion with the Pickleball Association people, they were talking if we were to stack the courts front to back with a small addition of distance width-wise, if we have it, we could add that 4th court for a very nominal amount. I was wondering if that's something we can look into.
Yes, Councillor Driscoll. So the diagram in front of you here is was a very quick turnaround on this drawing. We have a dimension of 92 feet by 60, and that was basically our preliminary design. So I will work with our engineering support staff at JP2G to see if that's feasible. If there's a a small adjustment to the design or a small adjustment to the footprint. I'm confident that the money that we're requesting at 115,000, we've left a little wiggle room in there, just because the quick turnaround on this. So I think if it's feasible that we can fit a fourth court in there, and it fits on the pad with a minor adjustment, it can be done, yes.
Would it possibly mean that we might lose, it looks like maybe 1 or 2 parking spots at the very most, if we expanded the footprint of the pickleball? Or can you go the other way?
We'd have to look if we can go further north. But yes, if we had to go in the other direction, it could change the parking somewhat. We also have to, there's a few other design alterations we have to look at. The existing parking lot before we brought the pickleball idea in, as you can see, there was a little jut out in the parking lot. That was actually for snow storage. So our design will change somewhat because we're going to have to look at where we're going to store snow in that parking area now that we're introducing the pickleball court. So there could be a small loss of parking there, but that will be to be determined.
Further questions? Deputy Mayor Sandberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris. Chris, great news that you can get all the works done at for the parking and all the curbing and whatnot. And I'm really grateful that you were able to look at the pickleball. It's certainly something that many of us around this table are being requested by community members quite regularly. And it's a very growing sport. It's a very involved sport, and it encompasses not just seniors, but young people and everything. And it certainly will add a lot of value to our offerings here. And I really do appreciate that you'll look at the expansion of to the fourth court. And I think if we have to forego a parking spot or 2, I think that would be well worth it. But I guess more to follow. Thank you very much.
Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thanks, Chris, for bringing this report forward. It looks like our Civic Center property is going to be spruced up quite a bit. And yes, the pickleball community will be very grateful. So thank you.
Councillor Kuzin.
Thank you very much. When I had my tour of our civic properties when I became councillor, the Civic Center was one of the highlights, all the upgrades that were needed. So this has been on my mind for years. I'm so happy to see phase 1 going ahead so we can try and preserve what we have left and not have to expend too much on the next phases. But especially when you're talking about gravel in the back there, the community gardens for accessibility, it's really great if we can have a paved surface for people to park and then use mobility aids on and all of the rest. So I believe that this is going to have a really huge community impact, and I want to thank you sincerely for everything you're doing on this file.
Further questions or comments? Yeah, I do like the addition of all the accessible sidewalks out in the back to get you into the arena. I think that's important. Yes, go ahead.
Just thought I'd mention one item. With the completion of this project as one phase, it will, of course, go nicely with our Association of Ontario Road Supers trade show that we'll be hosting in 2026. And just to update you, the show was held in Woodstock last week, and Petawawa did really well. We have over 73% of our booths are already sold for the show. So this will work really well with hosting as well. So it's coming together.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Yeah, so what's the timeline on you getting back to us on the addition of the fourth court? Because what I'm hearing is to hold an official proper tournament. The fourth court is, I'd say, almost essential, I guess.
Would the end of the week be okay?
I was not putting any deadline on you. I'll take whatever I can get.
End of the week. Excellent.
That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for putting this together, and thanks for being flexible. And I know it was a big win for you guys not to have to do this in 2 phases over 2 years. It's a very exciting project for the Civic Center, for sure. Okay, so if you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Donovan, second by Councillor Driscoll. The council approves the award of tender PW-11-2025 Civic Center Parking Lot Upgrades Phase 1 to the lowest bidder being JWK Contracting in the amount of $601,815.35 plus HST. And the council approves $115,000 for this construction. Am I leaving it at 3 pickleball courts for now? Or should I put possibly 4? Okay. The council approves $115,000 for the construction of up to 4 pickleball courts. And the council approves $82,000 for the project design alterations, engineering support and contract administration for the Civic Center parking lot upgrades Phase 1, including the scope change to construct a pickleball facility. And the council approved $50,000 for the contingency allowance for the entire project as outlined above, for a total project cost of $848,815.35, excluding HST. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Chris. Nothing for general matters. We need a closed meeting. I need a motion to go into closed. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the meeting be closed pursuant to section 239, paragraph 2, paragraph K of the Municipal Act 2001, S.O.2001, C.25, to discuss a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, and that the meeting be closed pursuant to section 239, paragraph 2, paragraph B of the Municipal Act 2001, S.O.2001, C.25, to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, we're back. We're just finishing up a closed session. A closed meeting was held. Council discussed further additions to the town of Petawawa's municipal insurance program and provided direction to the clerk. Further direction was provided to the clerk and myself on a personnel matter involving a municipal employee. And that wraps everything up. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the meeting be adjourned at the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Thanks for hanging on. Thanks, Kate.